This is Postman's Park in central London, and it's a very unusual thing. It's a Grade 2 listed park, and that's partly because one of its walls contains the memorial to heroic self-sacrifice. Postman's Park is named for the postal workers who used it as a popular lunchtime spot. That was a result of its proximity to the former General Post Office headquarters on St Martin-le-Grand. The park was opened in 1880 and it was a welcome public space for those people. Strictly speaking, not all of the park is Grade 2 listed, only certain parts of it are, including the memorial itself, of course. The memorial's purpose is to commemorate people who lost their lives while trying to save others and might otherwise be forgotten. It was inspired by a passage in George Eliot's novel Felix Holt and was the brainchild of George Frederic Watts. Watts saw the memorial as a way to inspire moral behaviour. By recording the selfless deeds of everyday people, he hoped to provide models of exemplary character for others to emulate. It consists of a long covered wall with 54 ceramic tablets, each detailing a specific act of heroism. Construction began in 1899 and it was unveiled the next year. Watts initially proposed a larger monument, but eventually found a home for his more modest design here in Postman's Park, which was expanding at the time. The memorial has since been described as a people's Westminster Abbey. As you can see from the stories of each individual appearing on the screen, every single name on this wall is worthy of an individual piece of the past in their own right. Among the first crop is Thomas Griffin. He was a fitters labourer who died on April the 12th, 1899 in a boiler explosion at a Battersea sugar refinery. He went back into the flames to search for his mate and was fatally scalded in the search. The earliest death is from 1863, although it was only added to the wall in 1905. That's a pantomime artiste called Sarah Smith. She died trying to extinguish a friend of hers who caught fire. Somewhat sadly, you'll notice 53 of the names were unveiled between the wall's inception in 1900 and 1931. Then there's a gap and no other names are added until a lone plaque in 2009. That details the story of 30-year-old Lee Pitt, who saved a drowning boy from a canal in Thamesmead and then drowned himself in the process. The large gap in the plaques between 1931 and 2009 occurred because the project lost its driving force and funding after the death of George Watts. His wife, Mary Watts, was supposed to continue it, but she gradually lost interest. That, combined with a lack of public engagement and changing social attitudes about trying to boost the moral fibre of the public, a somewhat Victorian attitude that these days is regarded as, perhaps unfortunately, a little old-fashioned. Which is an enormous shame because it's a very sweet and lovely idea. Lee Pitt's 2009 plaque was added as a specific one-off following an individual request. A lot of them are emergency service workers of one form or another, dying in fires and explosions trying to get that one extra last person to safety. But the majority are just everyday people, being brave, doing the right thing, and unfortunately succumbing while doing it. Postman's Park opened in 1880 on the site of the former churchyard and burial ground of St Botolph's Aldersgate Church. It then expanded, taking in a few other church cemeteries over the next 20 years and the site of a bunch of houses that were demolished when a nearby street was widened. That street's name, incidentally, just in case you're a fan of a certain TV comedy series, it's the original Little Britain. Why is all of this so important? Well, for two reasons. First, one of the things to note is that the land here is higher than that of the surrounding streets. A shortage of space for burials in London meant that corpses were often laid on the ground and then covered over with soil, thus elevating the park over the centuries above the streets that surround it. Second, because it was a patchwork of 3 different cemeteries and then the gardens of some demolished houses, you can imagine the legal rows over who actually owned the space. Those rows went on for years. Understandably, this is a valuable area. We're only a short distance north of St Paul's Cathedral. I could do whole episodes on the intricate rows and backstabbings that took place. If you want to know more about that, because neighbourhood rows over who owns public land is your bag, check out the Wikipedia page on the park. It's an absolute eye-opener. It takes a lot of time to produce videos like this one and the others on the channel, so if you enjoyed what you just watched, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and also leave a comment. Without that, small channels like this one die. The memorial to heroic self-sacrifice in Postman's Park, a valorous little piece of the past.